Welcome to Successful Living with Bill Knapik. Every week, we talk with interesting people in a variety of professions for ideas to enhance your success in all aspects of life. Successful Living with Bill Knapik starts right now. Here's Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Successful Living with Bill Knapik. I am Bill Knapik, your host today, as we have an exciting show as always. Today, we're going to talk with several people. We're going to focus on an organization called Cru. We have Mike Moore. He's the city director of Cru. We also have Lance Bourgeois. In addition, Jane Nodskov is here today. So we're going to find out what everybody does right here and what Cru is. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks so much for having us on. My wife, Jenny, and I have worked with Cru in Houston for almost 20 years, and our goal is to help young professionals thrive personally, professionally, and spiritually. And it's just amazing how many people move to Houston from other places in this and not knowing folks. And we've had the privilege over the last years of kind of with the help of these two folks that are here with us, reaching out to many young professionals and helping them thrive in the big city of Houston.
So give people an idea as an overview of the organization Cru, and that's spelled C-R-U. Let's tell people what you do and the scope in terms of geographic scope of the organization.
Sure. Cru is a international organization with at least 5,000, I should know this, maybe 10,000 employees. In the United States, Cru is mainly known for the campus ministry on college campuses. A lot of folks think that's kind of the only thing that Cru does, but they have many other ministries, one of which that I'm a part of, my wife and I are a part of, called the City Ministry. And we have Athletes in Action, which is a sports ministry, which I actually do a little bit with, working with Houston Dynamo. We have government ministry. We have a high school ministry. We have international students. There's just a variety of things. It'd be a huge military ministry presence, but and we're in the young professionals ministry, which is actually called Embark, is in I think 17 cities across the U.S. right now.
And Jane, let's give people an idea of your role and relationship as you're with a commercial real estate company. Actually, give us an idea of your role with Cru.
Sure. So I have been involved with Cru since 2009. I actually graduated from Texas Tech University, came back home, and hadn't plugged into a church and was looking for a community. Actually, I didn't even know I was looking for it until I ran into Mike Moore, and he said, hey, you need to come and check out this Bible study and play on this softball team. And so I said yes, and that was the beginning of my journey with Cru.
Well, that's quite a while, 2009. So here you are many years later.
Yes. I've been involved in a lot of different parts of Cru, from playing on sports teams, which is a great introductory way to get involved with Cru. It's easy to invite a coworker or somebody that you know just to come and play on a sports team. And then I've been involved in Bible studies that have covered books of the Bible, all different topics. I've been involved with workplace ministry lunches, so they'll have actually real estate lunches where you can invite your coworkers and sit at a table and actually hear from esteemed people in the industry that are speaking about real estate. I've been involved with, on the ministry side, Church Under the Bridge, which is an amazing homeless ministry that Cru partners with, Aldine Soccer, which is a great soccer outreach to kids in the Aldine area. So many different parts of Cru. And then recently, after I got married, my husband and I started helping with Cru at Home, which is a ministry that's focused for engaged and married couples. And we've actually been in the same Bible study group with 4 other couples for over 10 years now. So it's been a big part of our spiritual journey. A lot of tremendous work you're doing. That's very exciting. And Lance, let's give people an idea what your role is.
Yes, sir. And my name is Lance Bourgeois, and I work for S&B Engineers and Constructors. I do sales for them. I'm part of their commercial group, and so I'll do everything from originating client contact all the way to staying with the project while it's in the field, all the way through commissioning and startup. And Lord willing, I'll work on their next projects with them once we have that relationship established. As far as with Cru, whenever I was moving here in 2012, I was moving from a city in China called Guangzhou, and I had some friends there, and they said, I know this guy named Mike Moore who lives in Houston. I want to put you guys in contact.
So wait a minute. So somebody in, again, the city was
Guangzhou.
So you're in China, many miles, just about where every product we have is made, by the way.
Actually, yes. It's called the World's Factory.
It's crazy. So someone in China knew Mike Moore right here
That's
in
right.
Houston.
They were a part of a organization in high school together. I think Mike was what organization was that?
Young Life.
Yeah, so he was the leader for Young Life, and she was over there doing work and living there, raising her family with her husband. And anyway, so she put me in contact, and so I sent him an email, and then he sent me 30 back with opportunities to be a part of the Houston Young Professional Christian organizations.
How many years were you in China?
I lived there for 1 year.
Was it fascinating?
Absolutely. I mean, it takes every social norm that you can imagine, and it just turns it upside down.
It's crowded, I'm guessing.
It is absolutely crowded, and you never get used to it. Absolutely. Yeah. Whenever I moved to Houston, everybody assumed I moved from. I'm from Santa Maria, Louisiana. So people would ask, "Oh man,
thus the name Bourgeois."
That's right. That's right. So they would ask, "How's it feel moving here to a big town, not knowing where I was actually moving from?" I was like, "I actually love it."
So Houston's kind of a small town, I'm guessing, compared to China, where you were at.
Exactly.
Wild.
So if you think traffic in the Galleria here is awful, then try anywhere in Guangzhou at any time, night or day.
In the meantime, Mike, give us an idea as far as we talked about the marketplace initially. Expound upon that a little bit more about your role and how you reach, I don't know how you reach China, but way to go there that they're talking about you in the streets of China. But in the meantime, talk about the marketplace and the activities that you're doing again a little bit.
Sure. I think our bread and butter event is and Jane alluded to it, kind of the large lunches. We'll do 4 or 5 large lunches. We call them professional forums a year. Sometimes they are industry specific, like commercial real estate, or we'll do an energy, oil and gas forum, and then sometimes we just do a leadership forum. And so what it does is we'll have 3 speakers that talk about the professional, personal, and spiritual areas. And it gives folks at their companies or a chance to host a table and invite their friends, or it can be folks outside of their companies and stuff like that. And so that's an entry point. People come. It's usually a good lunch, and they get some great input, and then they have the opportunity to get involved after that. And so we kind of follow up from there. And we've had a lot of workplaces. I mean, a lot of Bible studies in the workplace. Maybe company specific, and then we also have ones where we'll meet. We have one right now that meets on Mondays at a local Bex Prime, and it's mainly but not all commercial real estate folks, and we'll eat lunch and have a Bible study, and it's just a very, especially when it's nice weather, we can eat outside, and it's a great way to kind of start off your week and stuff like that. And we've had them in the mornings, it kind of depends, and then. Kind of our main thing we would invite somebody to is Cafe Crew, which is on Tuesday nights, a couple of times a month, and that's what both of these folks are involved with for quite a long time, and that would be, it's just a great way to meet, especially if you're looking to meet people and you're looking for community, which it's interesting as we're having this. As we're talking about this, I've had like 6 people just in the last 3 days, which is not usually that many, that rapid, but that have gone on our website and said, "Hey, I'm interested. I'm looking to meet people," because people come here and it's just Houston's a great spot, but it's like any big city. It can be tough to know where to start especially if you don't know anyone.
Well, and as thinking about Lance there for a second, and also with Jane in the real estate world, we have record amounts of people coming from all over the world, all over the United States. Even people in Texas are coming to Houston. So we're getting more people, and it's a great way to meet people. And going back to the lunches for a second, do you have a certain amount of lunches per month? Do you target, or it sounds like you have several, and then this evening event on Tuesdays?
Yeah, we'll probably do about 4 4 large lunches a year, so about one a quarter. And when I say large, 100. Our downtown one's probably the biggest, probably 325. It's been as big as 375 when you had more people in the office. But so those are large lunches where maybe we only know 30% of the people coming. And then we have more community building lunches, I guess you'd call them, that are 25 to 30 people that would meet either downtown or in the Galleria or out on the west side, where we have we have fajitas and a speaker, and it's just once again and those are even more informal. We have a speaker that maybe lets you ask questions and stuff like that, and so it's we call them a next leaders lunch or just a Galleria area lunch, and it's just once again just a low key kind of. Sometimes, usually they're in the middle of the week. We stay away from Mondays and Fridays. Just those aren't the best days, and it's just a way to get a little spiritual input during the week.
And are all these activities on your website?
Yes, with COVID, things have kind of changed a little bit, but yes, they can go to crewhouston.org, and then there's a specific young professionals website, crewhoustonYP.org. And you can find information on all those things.
And again, that's spelled CRU. So that's CRU Houston, YP for the youngprofessionals.org. And also give us an idea, are people in this organization, are they members of it, or how does that work?
That's a question we get from time to time. Do I have to pay any dues, or how do I join? And I guess maybe that people are used to joining professional organizations where you have that, but no, you just come and we'll try and if it's someone new, like there's a young real estate person that just contacted me, or her name was given to me, and I'll have someone like Jane or somebody like that maybe will take them to lunch, just so if they're showing up at a meeting, even if Jane's not there, they've talked to someone about what goes on, and just because I don't get it. Even though I'm kind of an extrovert, I don't get excited about going to new things. It kind of I think that's pretty normal, and so just if we can just help make things more comfortable is what we try and do. Yeah.
Hey, Jane, tell us a little bit more about some of the things that you're doing with Crew.
Okay. I have been involved. Right now, I'm more involved on the Crew at Home side. Like I said, my husband and I have been involved in a Bible study with other couples for 10 years now. And that's something that we do monthly. We get together, we make the time to get the babysitter and just have an evening together where we go through a study, and sometimes it's a book in the Bible, and other times it's this right now we're actually going through one on parenting, and it's been amazing. And so that's been something that's really impacted us. And then I'm also involved with Houston Haven, which is an organization that Crew partners with. A lot of the young professionals will come and provide meals. Houston Haven is a nonprofit that provides low-cost housing to families that come to Houston for cancer treatment. And so part of what Houston Haven does is provide weekly meals to the families that are staying there. And so Crew has sent a lot of great young professionals that want to get involved. They have a heart for service, and they want to serve the Houston area. And they can do that through Houston Haven by bringing a meal to a family that's not from Houston that's going through a really difficult time.
So it sounds like Crew also has relationships with other organizations that are helping people.
Exactly. I think that a real desire for a lot of young professionals is to serve. And so we have kind of through the years kind of taken some of the gifts that people have and the passions they have and have either started things or found organizations that kind of are a match for that. And both these folks can talk about because they helped us get all of them going.
Well, one of the things, Jane, as I'm thinking about in real estate, and we've established it's an ongoing thing for many years now that people are coming to Houston in record numbers in the real estate profession. I'm guessing you're meeting people, and again, you're in the commercial part of the real estate world in Houston, but I'm guessing you're meeting people and even companies that are coming here, and it's their first time here, first time to be a resident, and when someone's in that mode, they're searching for things a lot of times for friends and activities, so that your real estate world probably serves in helping Crew and also people here in the community.
Absolutely. There are a lot of people that come to Houston that are new, and this may be their first or second year in the commercial real estate business. And so it's really easy to say, hey, why don't you come to this lunch that's about commercial real estate? And so you can learn more and have more market knowledge, while then also getting a taste of the gospel as well. And, it's a really easy invite to be able to do that. But also, there's companies that I work with that come. And so again, I can say, hey, this is a Next Leaders lunch event that's in the Energy Corridor. It's at Escalante's. If nothing else, you'll have amazing fajitas. But Mike does a great job of getting really high-notch speakers that are people that we've heard of, that we want to hear from. And so it's a very easy invite to say, hey, come check out this lunch. And then usually that transfers into a Bible study or something else. And so it's just a really great vehicle, especially for people who aren't sure about church. They're just a little bit nervous about that. They're not willing to just go walk into a church and, figure it out. They kind of need that invitation to something that's in between. And I feel like Cru does a great job of being that in between the workplace and the church.
And I would think also in the real estate for the newcomers that are in Houston that might be listening to the show, and one of the first things they do if they're already established in a church somewhere else, Oklahoma, I don't know why I'm thinking about Oklahoma here today, but they come from another place and say, hey, I want to find a new church. I used to go to this church in this other city. Give us an idea, and you guys would be great resources.
Absolutely. Plus, as Mike mentioned, there's a group of, real estate guys that get together, and there's been a point where I've been involved in the real estate group where it's really hard to talk about the journey of starting in this industry without being in it. And so to be able to meet with other people that are in the same stage of their business where you're cold calling and prospecting and trying to build your book of business, and you can do that with other people that are like-minded, it just does so much for you professionally and personally as you're growing. So the commercial real estate aspect and Cru together has been really great. And we've been able to bring people that I work with in the business world and get them involved with Cru. And, we've seen their spiritual growth be, uncalculatable.
Mm-hmm. And Lance, give us an idea as far as, I want to go back to your time in China. Were you involved, or was that your reason for being in China with any Christian organizations over there? And to what extent do they exist in?
Sure. The city I was in was in Guangzhou, China. Out of respect for the work that people are doing there, I choose not to get into details, just out of respect of the government allowing us to be there and knowing what their wishes are. I hope. But
do they have churches, Christian churches, or are they not allowed in China?
There are churches there in China, and their policy towards them kind of fluctuates. So, they have some massive churches there, but there is a specific amount of control that the government has on them. And again, out of respect for them, I want to. If I was trying to govern that size of a population, my decisions may be different. So I try not to fault anyone for making the best decision that they know how to make. But I will say, no matter what, as Christians, if you tell me I'm going to build an oil refinery somewhere in the Far East, it's really difficult to remove Christianity from my thought process, the way I talk with people, the way I treat the locals. So I will say, no matter where Christians go, there's most certainly a ministry to be had. But as far as the specific ministries that may be going on there, it's something I try not to touch on.
Interesting. So, Mike, give us an idea. What are some of the other things we should know about what you're doing here in the community with Cru and anything else?
Sure. Well, I think we haven't really touched on yet. I think one of the great things, it's kind of funny because I never would have, if you had told us 10 years ago that kickball would have been a huge part of our ministry, but we had we had a good group. I don't know, 25, 30 folks coming on Tuesdays, and then we had about 8 brand new people kind of come, and we kind of talked about doing some kickball teams, and they all signed up, but our regulars hadn't signed up. So I actually emailed some of them and said, hey, will you guys be, we still joke about it. I asked them if they would be kickball missionaries, and we'd kind of put 3 of them on each team so they would kind of get to know the new people. And we had 3 teams, that year. We actually had a famous team that Jane's husband was on called the Sharknadoes. I'd have to mention that or I'd get in trouble. And kind of from there, we've had our own, for many years, our own crew kickball league of about the height. I think we had like 100 people that would play, which kind of sounds, you say it and you
here in Houston,
sounds crazy. Here in Houston and stuff like that. And we had some fun with it. We came up with a trophy that my one of my coworkers thought I was joking when I said we'd call it the Combrink Cup, but I think I kept on saying it for a while. He realized that I was serious, and he'd come out and actually give it. And both Jane and Lance have played on teams that won the Combrink Cup. So, but all kidding and fun aside, I think just in the Lord's sense of humor. Kickball, there's a lot of folks that'll when they give their testimony, they'll say, that was the first thing I did, and I met some people, and that kind of led to either maybe going on a mission trip, or maybe getting involved in a Bible study, or maybe they met somebody and they took them to church. There's a lot of different angles that because we are not trying to be the church in any way. Our end game is we'd love for folks to stay involved with us, but we definitely don't want that to be at the substitute of being involved in a church and plugging into that local body.
So I haven't even heard of kickball lately since I was a child, and that's a long time ago. I mean, kickball. So there's that. It's an organized sport. I mean, as kids, we would just kick the ball, and we called that kickball.
There's a couple of companies that really make a business.
Really?
They have and they make a lot of money. There's several kickball leagues, and so we've done that, and then we've had other sports teams. Softball, as Jane mentioned. We've done some ultimate frisbee, which I play for 30 minutes, and I need a nap.
What's ultimate frisbee?
Oh, it's
like advanced frisbee?
It's a lot of running. It's throwing the frisbee, and it's kind of like scoring a point when you get it in the other person's end zone. And we had about 6 or 8 people that were fantastic at it, and the rest of us were okay. And
sounds like fun.
It was. We kind of it was kind of voted to phase it out of our spring sports league. But then also we've had happy hours in the evenings, which is another just easy way, and we've done all sorts of things with those. We had a band for many years that played at those. We'll have it at a bar typically after work. It has been a summer thing for the most part, and once again, just an easy opportunity for folks like Jane and Lance to bring a coworker or a friend that probably is not going to go to Grace Bible Church or First Baptist or wherever on a Sunday yet. They're just not ready. Maybe they've had a bad experience. There could be a lot of different reasons, but it's just kind of an easy way for them to say, "Hey, come! There'll be food here. There's going to be other. If they're single, you can say there's other guys or other girls. And there's a lot of hooks to where you can kind of get people involved, or at least expose them. That's what we're trying to do.
Well, actually, here in Houston, if you're a newcomer, you're hearing the show, I want to encourage you. There are some. Mike mentioned some of the great churches here, but also I want to mention my church, and that's Second Baptist. We have 7 campuses right here, all over the Houston area, and so many categories in ministry that are there to help people and where you can participate. So it's super awesome. secondbaptist.org is our website at Second Baptist. Also, Mike, let's remind people the website of Cru.
Sure. www.cruhouston.org. And if you're listening across the nation somewhere, if you go to www.cru.org, you can click through the links and find out the different cities that we're involved in. That'll have something similar, maybe not exactly what we're doing, but there are we're involved in big cities and small cities all across the U.S.
And that's great to know. We're talking with Mike Moore with Cru. We're talking with Lance Bourgeois. Also, Jane Nods Cove is here. We're going to come right back in a minute. Stay with us, please. As we move from room to room, building to building, business to business, we are walking on floors of some type at all times. At Texas Floor Covering, we are there to serve you since 1989, helping you, whether you're an architect, designer, building manager, general contractor, a sports arena, government agency. We are there for your commercial flooring needs. Texas Floor Covering. Give us a call at 713-862-2444. That's 713-862-2444. Our website is texasfloorcovering.com. That's texasfloorcovering.com. Check us out. We are here for you, Texas Floor Covering. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Successful Living Show, and today we have a group. We have Mike Moore, City Director of Crew, an organization right here in Houston, Lance Bourgeois, and Jane Nodskov. They're with us today. Mike, let's remind people, Crew, for those that are just tuning in, let's tell people again what Crew is.
Sure. Crew is a interdenominational Christian organization that's international, has all sorts of different ministries. My wife and I's focus is we are the city directors for Embark, which is just one of the Crew ministries here in Houston, and we work with young professionals, kind of 22 to 40-ish, and it's been a joy to see God at work in those areas.
And Jane, let's remind people your role and a little bit about yourself.
My name is Jane Nodskov, and I am a senior partner at ICO Commercial Real Estate. We're a boutique firm that's been around for 30 years, starting out focused in the Fort Bend area, but we handle industrial, office, retail, and land all over the Houston market.
And Lance, your role is?
Yes, sir. I work for S&B, Engineers and Constructors, and I'm a commercial manager there, which essentially entails everything from initiating the contact with a new client all the way through building the project, commissioning, and then hopefully doing the same thing for the next project.
And Mike, give us an idea of some of the things that you want to make sure that we mention.
Sure. I think something we touched on briefly, but I think is great to hear more about is we have three organizations, other Christian nonprofits that we partner with, and it's been really exciting. I'll talk about one, and then I'll let each of these folks talk about ones that they've been involved with. Back in 2013, we had three young ladies that had played college soccer, and we had done just a few things with a community center in the Aldine area called, it was the Aldine Youth Center at the time, and they had been talking to me about doing some soccer ministry, and I was like, I've played 1 year of soccer. I had a friend at the Dynamo that kind of talked about helping, but that didn't work out. And so we kind of pitched the idea of doing a soccer camp to these three young ladies. And one of them goes, well, I've actually organized soccer camps. And so that started in the spring of 2013. It started a soccer ministry there. We had 150 kids that showed up at our first soccer camp. And we didn't know what to do, and we kind of organized, and it was just a great time. And so since then, we've had different people in leadership of that, but we partner with that community center in other ways besides soccer. We've done some teen mentoring that I know Jane has participated in. I think Lance might have been. Our various small groups, we sponsor at least 10 families with that ministry for Christmas each year, and that's, I think, just been I could get some of these folks to talk about their passion for sponsoring families at Christmas and just some of the neat ways they've seen the Lord work. And then the other two organizations that we partner with on a regular basis are Church Under the Bridge, which really it's part of thousandhills.org, and I think Lance is going to talk a little bit about that. And then Jane is founded a Christian nonprofit that works with cancer called Houston Haven, and I think so it's just we have a variety of ways for people to serve, and once again that can be a way for them to get more involved in Crew or meet somebody and get more involved in their church.
Well, go ahead, Lance.
Sure. So I'll zoom out a bit and say whenever I first moved to Houston, like I said, Mike was one of the few people that I knew. And because of the nature of the oil and gas industry here, I was traveling 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, pretty constantly. So I was gone half of the weekends. So even though I was involved with a church, I might be able to make once, maybe twice a month. And that's really difficult to grow community. And oftentimes I'd fly out to Australia, so I have to leave Saturday night. So I'm missing another Sunday, and so for months it was really hard to establish community. Even though I'm fairly outgoing, whenever you don't have events where you see the same people again and again, it's really difficult to form a relationship with these people. And so even though I was tied to a church, Cru really helped in having so many different opportunities to hang out with the same group of people. And not only was I meeting people from my home church, but so many different churches are represented in Cru that allow for me to meet people all across the city. And so whenever I come into town and I'm just getting in on Monday night, Mike, what's going on? What can I participate in? Well, we have small groups today. We have church under the bridge tomorrow. And this weekend we have a soccer camp. That was such a blessing to me. And being able to see some of my coworkers who had the same schedule not be able to get tied into community, not really have anybody they reached out to whenever they were in town. And then they see me doing all these different activities, and they weren't even Christians, but they're asking, how are you doing this? How are you able to form these relationships? And Cru really helped me in that manner, just always having something to do, always having a community to be a part of. And honestly, that takes me to Church Under the Bridge. So that is a organization, I think it's run by Thousand Hills, and they meet in the third ward, is it, Mike?
Third ward, yes.
Third ward. And every single night they meet with the homeless in this area, and they invite them out for just community. They invite them out for a hot meal every single night, even 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And these people are able to, even though they're homeless, and how do you establish community then? Pastor Brown has put this in place to where they can always have a free meal. They can always have community. And with that, we do praise and worship. So different volunteers come every night. I think we're the first Tuesday of the month. Mm-hmm. And so we lead them in praise and worship. We're sitting with them. We're raising our hands. We're glorifying God. We have a Old Testament reading, a New Testament reading, and then we also have a message. And they're able to see the same people consistently. And Pastor Brown has a system there to where they can receive mail. They can, somebody can literally mail them a letter, which sounds like something that's so easy for us with a home address, but these guys don't have that same opportunity. And also they can charge their cell phones if they have them, or they can use a cell phone to call their families. And so just as Cru has been that constant in my life at a young professional level, I think Church Under the Bridge is giving people who have no constants in life, not even where they're going to sleep tonight, what they're going to eat. This is the content that they have, and all through it, through Cru and through Church Under the Bridge, it's all about glorifying God. And I mean, we know where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. So whether it's me experiencing freedom, removing that anxiety of not having a social network, it does the same thing for the homeless with Church Under the Bridge.
Yeah, a couple of things I'd just tack on that I think are really cool to about both these folks is 4th of July, a time when usually young professionals are out with their friends. Lance and there's another young guy that kind of helps organize Church Under the Bridge, but they about 10 of them went out and Greg's basically said, hey, this is 4th of July, we're gonna, and I don't know if he cooked burgers, but he made a special meal for them and stuff, and so that was really proud. And then Jane was there actually the first time, probably, 14, 15 years ago, when this guy said, hey, come downtown, check this thing out. And it was a rainy night. And I remember, I don't know what Jane thought, but I remember we were tromping around in the mud, and I'm kind of like, there's people everywhere. And I'm kind of like, what have we gotten ourselves into? But that was we just going down to observe, and it's been neat, incredible to see how the Lord has worked in so many lives through that ministry. So,
and Jane, tell us about Houston. It's called
Houston Haven.
Houston Haven. Let's tell people about that. And also, do they have a website? They
do. HoustonHaven.com. And you can go there and check out, the full extent of what we do. But really, we got started because living in Houston, my mom had cancer. And we spent a year going back and forth to MD Anderson. And during times that you're sitting in the waiting room, you meet other people who are going through that same journey, but they don't live here and they have to come to Houston. And one of the things that I would hear all the time was that it was really hard for them to find where to stay, to find something that's short term, not super expensive because, again, they have all these bills at home, but also that's furnished and nice, so that they have a place where they can come home, actually eat healthy meals and be together as a family. And so when I went through that with my mom, that really stuck with me. And after she passed away, we had her house, and it was something that we had held on to for a while. And finally, after Mike and Jenny were the great mentors that they are to us and said, if you've had this burning in your heart to do something, you should do it. So even with a 1-year-old and a full-time job in real estate and a mortgage on that property, we launched Houston Haven in 2019. And that was our first property, but we wanted it to be more than just a place to stay. We wanted it to be a place where people felt community. They felt the Houston community, but also a ministry where, we can point to Jesus. And so right now, we have 10 properties. We actually have 13 places to stay, all within 5 miles of the Med Center. And our focus is really on families. We have a lot of moms and dads that are in their early 30s that are going through cancer treatment, and they want their kids to be with them. And if most other organizations or places to stay don't allow children. And so that's really our focus. And we have been able to serve families through housing, but also serve families through weekly meals, through ambassadors. And a lot of that's because of Cru, bringing in young professionals that want to serve in that way.
Well, if someone's out there listening and they hear about, as they just heard about Houston Haven, let's tell people, are there ways that people can help?
Absolutely. So you can go to our website, and there's ways that you can plug in to, be part of one of our meal teams. Or whenever we launch a new property, we've got to do a couple different work days where people come in and help us get the house ready. And that can be making beds and, putting dishes away, or it can even be, doing some maintenance items. We've also got people that can go online and they can make donations to help financially support each house that we have. It takes us about $10,000 to get a new house completely launched. And so, we have people that can kind of earmark funds for that if they'd like. So there's a lot of different ways to get involved.
So again, if someone wants to, let's say, a donation, the website again is?
HoustonHaven.com.
Mike, what are some of the other things we should know?
Well, I think something we haven't really touched on much yet, or we've talked about local missions, which is huge, and that's great. But also, it's kind of funny thinking back. 2013, we had a young engineer working at Shell, also from Louisiana, just like Lance. And he said, "How about if I get 6 folks from Shell and we get 6 people from Cru, and we do a Living Water trip," which is, if you're not familiar with Living Water, it's another local organization that does drills water wells for communities that don't have clean water, kind of all over the world. And I was like, okay, 6 people, maybe we can do that. Long story short, we ended up. I told him eventually, hey, none of those engineers can come. We're going to have 12. We got 10 people from Cru pretty quickly, and then we signed up the other couple, and we have taken. I'd have to check. I think like 21, maybe 22 mission trips over the years. One year, it still boggles my mind, we actually had 70 young professionals that went on a mission trip, and it just blew me away. A normal year was 2 or 3 trips. And once again, you take people out of their comfort zone. You take them pretty much away from their cell phones for a week, and you plop them with 10 to 12 people, whether it's going to Italy and talking to college students, or going to Cuba and doing evangelism, or building a water well. You get to know folks. You build pretty good community, and the Lord does generally, not always, some pretty neat things in their lives. And Lance has been on a couple of trips, and I'd love for him to just share kind of some of the things that he got out of it.
No, thanks, Mike. Yeah, I've had the opportunity to do 3 mission trips through Cru, one to Haiti, one to Bologna, Italy, and another one to Cuba. And I think obviously you have the opportunity to get to know each other as you're preparing for these trips. You're meeting together, you're praying together, you're discussing, where you're at on donations or whatever we're collecting for that specific outreach. So it really allows you a time for bonding, the dinners, everything. And another aspect of that at home is it gives you the opportunity to talk to your coworkers about Christ, because they're going to all these extravagant places, the Maldives, which is great for their vacations. And then it's like, well, where are you going? It's like, oh, I'm going to Haiti. It's like, why in God's name are you going to Haiti? It's like, funny you word it that way. We're going on a mission trip. We're going to visit some orphans that we partnered with, and we've done a number of trips there. It's people we pray for, we donate to. When we see their pictures on the website, we know their names. That's how close the organization had gotten to this particular ministry. And whenever you get there, and these kids, ranging from newborns to 18, I believe, whenever they see you and they know you could be anywhere in the world, because they think everybody's, these super filthy rich Americans, and they're like, why did you choose to be here with us? And it's like, because we love God and God loves you. We are here to show you his love. And that goes a long way, especially whenever you can go back to those ministries again and again. And in the same thought, same thing in Italy. It sounds like, why would you go to Italy? That sounds like such a hardship location, right?
No, it
said
doesn't.
Tongue in cheek. But whenever you're talking to college students there, and they have the same question. They're like, we know the Americans get 2 weeks of vacation. Why are you spending 1 week here? It's like, well, I have a message to share with you. I want to tell you about, what God's done in my life. And of all the places I've been, they've had the most adult demeanor towards that conversation. They will sit down and say, hey, this is worth a week of your life. I want to hear what you have to say, just out of respect for who you are and how much you sacrificed to be here with us. And that was a phenomenal experience. And then I'll touch lastly on Cuba. Cuba, they don't really understand American culture, but they're very fascinated by the idea of it. And when we go there, yes, we're talking with people who are in good positions, great jobs and such, but we're also going through the slums where you can tell they stole a piece of sheet metal from somewhere so that they would have a roof. And they see this group of smiling faces coming in, and they're smiling back at you. No one knows why. And then you start talking to them. It's like, hey, I want to talk to you about how we have freedom, we have happiness, we have joy. And I came here specifically to talk to you. And they're tied to different organizations there to where it's not just a touch and go. There's a constant church that we try to get them plugged into. But we have the opportunity to use the fascination of foreigners to really get some energy behind, expanding these churches. And then another aspect I'll touch on is once you have these communities from these different mission trips, I know these people I went with, I know their wives, I know their families, their wives are calling, are y'all safe? Same thing whenever I go and, there's females on the trip, their husbands are calling, be like, hey, I'm trusting you. You really get this bond. And one area where I really saw that show was whenever Harvey actually hit the city, and no one knew what to do. Nobody could get workers. People's houses were flooded. A simple text message thread was started by Mike. He's like, hey, who's available? Who knows what they're doing? And fortunate or unfortunate, I'm being from South Louisiana. I know a thing or two about floods and hurricanes. And so he was able to mobilize people. We were able to give instruction, and we're going house to house. Hey, what can we do for you? And that really went a long way with the people, in the Bel Air neighborhood and Meyerland, and because these people have as much money as they could ever need to expand their homes and such, but nobody could reach them. The contractors weren't available, and their houses are in ruins. And just through a simple text message, we were able to mobilize just because those relationships are established through crew. And then further to that, I got a text message from a buddy I worked with in Los Angeles, and he said, man, you must be making a killing. You've had to have done at least 13 houses. And he's like, what are you charging per square foot? I was like, oh, we don't charge. And that just rocked his world. He's like, you have these people, they will pay anything, and you charge them nothing. And then we're like, yeah, well, we bring food, we bring good spirit, and we bring willing people, and we're just here spreading God. And through that opened up a huge opportunity. That's just another example of how Crew has impacted not only my life, but really my opportunities to share more about Christ.
Well, Jane, as we continue, what else should people know?
I'll just share a little bit about my personal journey with Crew and just how I've grown in so many different ways. Growing up, I became a Christian when I was in high school. And so when I graduated from college and I moved back to Houston, I hadn't gotten plugged in anywhere church-wise. And I was really, thinking in my mind, so as a young professional, I have my work life, I have my friends' life, and all of these things are in different buckets. And I would, hear about people like Mike that, their job is in ministry. And I never really thought that applied to me. I thought that was a separate world. And then after getting involved with Cru, I really learned that my workplace is my mission field. You can go on a mission trip to all over the world, but where I am is where God wants me to be. And the people that I interact with every day, so my coworkers and my clients, those are, that is my mission field, and that is what I'm supposed to be focused on. And so Cru really helped equip me with tools and opportunities to invite them to different things to basically live out my ministry life at work. So I felt like that's been something that has dramatically changed my life, and that wouldn't have been the case if it wasn't for Cru. The church I was involved with just didn't cover that ground like Cru does. And so just the focus of being a young professional and, wanting to do well in my career, but then also have the balance of, trying to be focused on the gospel as well, and then other ways to serve my community has been invaluable. So, and I've had friends that I grew up with where they grew up in church, but they weren't living the life of what a Christian would look like. And a friend of mine, she'd graduated from college, moved back, and I invited her to come play kickball. So she came and she played on a kickball team, and she met some people and started to kind of see what I saw, which was the integration of your workplace and your ministry job. And then also she decided to go on a mission trip. And when she came back, she's a totally different person. And that was just such a building block for her and in the life that she leads now. And it's been incredible to see that transformation.
Well, with the last few minutes, we've mentioned certainly Cru, two other organizations, Houston Haven City Under
SMB.
the Bridge, Church Under the Bridge. Yeah. So let's tell people, Mike, as we wind up, again, the website in case they want to help and in case they want to know more about Cru. Let's remind people of your website.
Sure. Cru, C-R-U, Houston, YP.org, and there is a link on there that you can email us, and we'll be happy to get in touch with you and help you get plugged in with one of these organizations we've mentioned, serving or involved in one of the Bible studies we have, or if you want to play kickball, we'll be happy to sign you up. Yeah, Bill, I think you might be one of our team captains this fall, it sounds like.
I'll work on that. In the meantime, Lance, again, the Church Under the Bridge, is it?
Yes, sir. Church Under the Bridge is part of Thousand Hills Ministry.
Yeah, it is.
So if someone wants to find out more about that, is there a website or just go through Cru?
www.thousandhills.org. And one last plug, we do have, I was just reminded, we have a golf tournament coming up in about 2 months. And they can find, they could go through the Cru website and get information on that also.
Lots of activities.
And
again, Jane, Houston Haven,
HavenHaven.com.
And we have 1 minute left. Jane, let's finish with commercial real estate. 1 minute worth of commercial real estate. What would you say? How is it right now? People are still moving here?
Yes, so many people are moving to Houston, and the market is still very busy. Class A office buildings are struggling, and they have been for a while, and we anticipate they'll continue to struggle some. But there's lots of small companies that are still wanting to relocate and expand. There's lots of small companies that want to buy real estate. So the market is very busy, and especially in the suburban markets. We're seeing a little bit of a lull in the Galleria market, and downtown is still slowly rebuilding from COVID, but the retail market's strong, the industrial market is strong, and the suburban land market is really starting to get back into good shape.
That sounds awesome.
Sure, and if you would like more information or like to talk to any of our brokers, if you have some questions about the market or about a property that you own, you can reach us at ICO Commercial. That's the name of the company, and it's icotexas.com. icotexas.com.
And that's ICO, right?
ICOTEXAS.com.
Sounds good to me. Thank you all. You've been listening to Successful Living Today, a special edition provided by Texas Floor Covering. And you've heard Mike Moore with Cru. He's the city director. You've heard Lance Bourgeois. And Jane Knapik right here on the Successful Living Show. We will see you next week. Thanks for listening. And as always, you can go to radiobill.net in case you want to see the show again or hear it again at radiobill.net. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Bill.
Bill.
Thanks, Bill.